Two things have happened in the recent weeks that we have seen, and one is the appreciation of the naira at the official and unofficial market, and the other is the starting of operations of Nigeria's indigenous carrier Airpeace from Lagos to London, leading to the drop in the price of airfares from foreign carriers. And there has been a lot of conversation as to this price war between the Nigerian carrier and foreign airline, leading to conversations around price gouging and the likes. But joining me now to do justice to this topic is a marketing and sales expert, Udochukwu Chikwendu. Thank you for joining us on Business Daily.
Thank you so much, Chiamaka. My pleasure, John.
Thank you. I will just, want to start off with your thoughts on the recent developments in the Nigerian aviation industry, particularly in the rapid drop of airfares from foreign carriers. And, this started after we had seen the introduction of Airpeace, and then which came out with the lowest fares. And we also did see the other airlines, that's the foreign carriers, also reduce their fares even lower than the price we saw from Airpeace. So what do you make of this as a sales expert? What does this even mean?
I think it's a welcome development, right? It's highly welcome. I think it's something that is good for the aviation sector in Nigeria. Let's also not forget that competition is very, very good in the marketplace. Because the topic we are looking at today, which is price gouging happens on two major occasions. One, when you have adverse conditions in the economy, and secondly is monopoly. Now, AP is coming into the market to reduce their own price in order to have a huge chunk of the market share was a very good strategy. Let me give you a little illustration. Sometime around 2000 and 2001, MTN came into Nigeria, and at that time, they said it was impossible for them to do per second billing, and they were ripping Nigerians. We know that in this country, there was a time that we bought SIM card for more than 50,000 naira, right? Until we had Globacom came into the game and introduced per second billing. And you know that today you can get a SIM card, both MTN and Glo, for as cheap as 100 naira. In fact, in some cases, you are likely to get it free of charge. That is how much competition is good in the marketplace. Now, another business that is also enjoying that monopoly in Nigeria is the DSTV. DSTV in South Africa, DSTV is doing pay as you go. But in Nigeria, that's not the case. That means if I recharge my DSTV today and maybe I travel for 2 weeks, it will still be running even though I'm not using it. And I think when an indigenous organization comes in to disrupt that economy, they are likely to reduce their price. So that is exactly what happened in the aviation sector by the entrance of the Airpeace in the Lagos to London route. So I think that is a highly welcome development. And I think more Nigerians are praying that other airlines continue to reduce their prices. I went into the website of British Airways and I checked for a time in June, and they were charging as low as $305. But we know that before now, these people charge as much as $2,000 to $3,000. So I think Airpeace coming into the market was a very high welcome development. Competition is very, very good for variety in the marketplace.
Okay, I'll take you on from there. Do you think this has any connection with the appreciation and the gains that the naira has recorded in the past weeks? Because there has been quite a number of assertions from industry analysts and even the CEO of Airpeace himself in the person of Alan Onyema, where he came out to say that the significant decrease in the ticket of other foreign carriers was to push Airpeace out of business. Do you agree with that sentiment?
Well, I think so. This is not the first time that naira is appreciating against the dollar in Nigeria. And for all the time that naira has appreciated against the dollar in Nigeria, these airlines have not at any time reduced their price. Now, I think AP started this price war. So I'm going to talk on two platforms. One, as a concerned Nigerian, and secondly, as someone who understands what happens in the marketplace. The first one, as someone who understands what happens in the marketplace, is that APs came into this business and introduced their price range, which was far cheaper than what other international airlines were charging. If I'm the owner of these international airlines, you don't expect me to fold my hands and watch you make way. In fact, I heard Mr. Allen saying that they have sold out from now to sometime around September. So you are also expecting that the other competitors will do something to make sure that they also push you out of the business. Is the game that is played in the business. I believe so that these international airlines are doing everything possible to push APs out of business. I believe when Mr. Allen said that. But the other twist of fate is that I don't trust these international airlines that much. As a patriotic Nigerian now, I don't trust them that much that peradventure they succeed in chasing APs out of the business. How can we trust them that they will maintain these fair prices that they have, ticket prices that they have introduced? Is it that when they finally push APs out of the business, they will now go back to what they used to be? So I think this is also a strategy to make sure that they take their market share, because APs has really taken a chunk of that market share that they have. I don't expect them to keep quiet and just watch it go like that. It's business we are doing here.
Okay, let us now, talk to issues around ensuring fair competition and also, growing the Nigerian aviation sector vis-a-vis the foreign airlines. As Nigerians at this point, are there ways that you think that we can, prioritize the interest of our local businesses as well as the interest of the Nigerians themselves? Looking at this airpiece and airpiece war between foreign carriers, how can we, prioritize our local and indigenous businesses and also, the interest of the average Nigerian in terms of prices?
So beyond business, one attribute that the AP's brand has demonstrated is a lot of patriotism. We see them coming up on board anytime there are Nigerians stranded in other countries. There is something happening in other countries, they will always come out to make sure that, okay, we salvage it without depending on the government of the day, right? So I think Nigerians in return need to show that level of trust to the AP's brand, especially with the fact that the AP's brand is giving us the same thing we are getting from the international brand. Their planes are new, well built, fantastic. They get the same customer service that this is even better customer service than the international brands are giving them. So I think it's of high importance for Nigerians to stand by their own brand, which is the APs, and make sure that we patronize them. And I'm saying this because I think most Nigerians have also demonstrated this. Go on social media, you see a lot of people making posts about the AP's brand, both those that have flown the AP's brand and those that have not flown it. Nigerians are coming out to defend their own because it appears to everybody that this price reduction by these international airlines is just a scheme. There is no sincerity attached to it. It means that all this while you had what it takes, right, to bring your price to this level. I know that as a businessman, profit is the most important thing for you, right? And a businessman derives his profit either in two ways or in both. The first one is margin, and the second one is volume, right? So as margin, a contractor dwells more on margin because as a contractor, for instance, one contract you have, the profit margin from it can settle you for life. On the other hand, a business like APs and other businesses depends on volume. not just margin, because their margin may not be so much that if you get it from few people, it can sustain your business. So they also need that volume, right? So APs has come to take this chunk of volume. The competition is real. I think Nigerians, and not just Nigerians, other people who are lovers of this country, who wants the development of this country, need to go rally around APs to make sure that whether these people continue to reduce their price. Someone posted the one I saw, I think it was British Airways, and the price for some time, I think it was June or July, was $171. Can you imagine, from about $2,000 to $3,000 now to $171? I'm thinking, how realistic is that? I know that these other airlines, they have the money to fight this war more than APs can, right? But I think this time around, whether APs wins or not depends on the customer base. That is why beyond transaction, Nigerians need to rally around their own, which is APs, and make sure we support that brand to grow.
Okay, shortly before we go, I would want to hear your thoughts. Moving forward now, do you expect to see, the competitive landscape changing, especially since the entry of Airpeace and the price gouging like we have spoken about? And there also seems to be a slim difference between price gouging and competition, because from what you rightly stated, there was a drastic drop in prices by over 75% in some cases. So do you expect to see the competitive landscape within the Nigerian aviation sector change moving forward?
Yeah, I expect the competition maybe not to change, but to remain, right? Because I think that is the absence of competition that leads to price gouging. Right? Remember, I said in the beginning of my introduction that one of the things that causes price gouging is monopoly. When you have monopoly of a market, it tends to be that you are the only one that is deciding the price. And as a result of that, because you know that your customer that is coming do not have an alternative, you are likely to remain at that price, right? Or maybe when population becomes so much that demand on a particular product or service is bigger than the supply, that is tend to be price gouging. So I'm expecting this competition to continue. It's healthy. If we have other indigenous airlines who have the resources, the capacity to join in this competition, it will be good for all of us. Look at the frustration that the AP's brand went through all through the process of this whole period. First, Mr. Allen said something that they had, they gave them the approval to land at Heathrow Airport, but within a short period of time, they were moved to Gatwick Airport. And even at a point, the check-in area that they gave to them, they had to change it few days to the inaugural flight, while they had had all their training at that place. So it brought some level of disruptions. I believe so much that this competition has come to stay. And the more it stays, the better for the aviation sector and the better for Nigerians. I think by now, if Glo had the capacity to make sure that their network coverage is everywhere, MTN probably would not be in business by now. Or their market share would have dropped significantly. So on the part of Airpeace management, I want to make sure that they maintain excellent customer service. Every indices that this international brand will use to fight them, they have to make sure that they are scoring high on them. Because Nigerians will not also patronize you irrespective of how low your price is if you don't treat them well, if your customer service is not there, if you don't depart when you said you are going to depart, if you don't board appropriately, if you continue to do some level of shortchanging at the boarding area and all of them. Airpeace needs to maintain an excellent customer service, and their resource maintenance is very, very important. But for the competition, I want the competition to stay. It's making more Nigerians to have alternative, to move to London and come back with ease. I think this competition is healthy for the airline space in Nigeria.
Udochukwu Chikwendu there, who is a marketing and sales expert, speaking in support of the recent competition in the Nigerian aviation space. Thank you again for your insights on Business Daily this morning.
My pleasure.
Well, this is where we draw the curtains on this episode of Business Daily. But join the conversation on social media and let us hear your thoughts. What are your thoughts on the perceived price wars between the Nigerian indigenous carrier Airpeace and foreign airlines? Let us hear what it is you have to say. My name is Chiamaka Enendu. Thank you for watching and bye for now.